Wouldn't you know it, we got a little breeze about 2 miles an hour at the time that I'm stopping for the day. Can y'all tell I'm a hot mess? But I still gotta have my 3 o'clock coffee. Hey y'all, it's Lippy. Today is Wednesday, the 8th, October the 8th. I was gonna get it right. I'm gonna get it right. And my morning started early. I did my normal inside, but it was between 7:30 and 8 this morning that I took my garden tiller and that big orange wheelbarrow and I hit that chicken coop and run. Because I always clean the coop the first of the month. Well, I'm 8 days late, but I've had a lot going on, tending to grandkids and going back and forth from Texas to Louisiana. So I said, okay, this morning is the day. So while I drink a couple of more sips of coffee, I'm gonna show you guys a couple of pictures. There may be a video of how good it looks. One of the black sex lynx was in the nesting box and she laid her first egg. So I'm gonna show that picture too. It almost has a lavender look to it. Well, as I was cleaning the run, I found 2 more eggs, which I chunked them because I don't know how old they were. They were small. One was very faint tan. The other between a tan and a lavender. So they are laying, but none of the other ones are really laying because they're molting. And they should be nearing the end. The smallest hen that I have, she looks just horrible. I mean, she looks horrible, but she's fine. So I'm gonna test and see by cleaning all of them feathers out and putting DE and the Saturday lime that I use. I used the tiller. I broke up all the hard knots that was in the run and smoothed it all down. It turned out really nice. So I'm not sure what I captured because I thought, why film? I just did this a month ago. But guys, it looks so good. And the black sex lynx are laying and they're 5 months old. Am I right? Yeah, they're 6 months old. Excuse me, they're 6 months old. So I did get 1 egg and I set it in the basket, and I'm probably going to cook that egg in the morning just to see the yolk and test it out. But she was not scared while I was in there scraping and cleaning. She just laid her egg and went on out, you know, minded her own business. Doesn't it look good? And that white powder you see is the lime that I put out. It's Saturday lime. I think it's Saturday frog lime, something like that. I've just used it ever since we got these chickens. So that's what I used, and I put it all into what we call the run. Now I still have that whole big area to clean. We did it last year at this time. So we've got to cut out all the underbrush bushes that want to grow, get all the sticks back out. So I still have a ways to go because that's about 1/4 of an acre that they have. So I gotta get that done, but we're so hot here and so dry. I'm putting it off. Kind of like I did the run, but I'm glad that it is behind me. But what we're doing today, and the reason why we're gonna talk about various fertilizers, what I use, is because there was one lady in particular, and then there was another young lady that I may have confused when we planted the collard greens. That was about a week ago. Yeah, about a week ago. Well, it was a week ago. So I want to take the time to explain why I'm using different NPKs, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Some call it potash. Because I don't look at the label or the brand, I look at the numbers and I use just what I accumulate, what I find clearance. You know, that's just the way that Lippy gardens. So we will do a walk around. I did clean some stuff out. I watered heavy, so hopefully y'all be able to see all the germination. It's kind of laid over, but I'll zoom in so y'all can see. Some of it's wanting to stand up, but when they're little bitty, just sprouting, you water it, they lay over, but they'll stand up. So we're going to do a walk around when we get through with what I use and what it applies to as far as the vegetable. Now, we're not really talking tomatoes, but because I have tomatoes growing, I'm going to go ahead and touch on that. This is really questions about Brassica's winter garden, so I'm not sure where, you know, your zip code is, but for 8B, which I'm in Louisiana, this is the time of year that we start planting our leafy greens. Well, normally it's cooler than 92 degrees. So the heat is causing a little problems. I had to re-sow some seeds today, but we'll get into that on the walk around. So it really is going to apply to just the vegetable, okay? Not when I'm planting or when you plant these particular vegetables. But the questions I'm getting is, what do I use for each individual vegetable? That's what we're going to focus on, not the timing of when I plant or the timing when you plant. So to start off with, a lot of you know, but we have some new ones. When we amend the beds, about 2 to 3 months prior to me planting, and what I like to do is as soon as I pull a plant in a bed, I will immediately mend that bed with triple 13. Okay, and I just let it stay dormant. If it rains, great. If not, I'll kind of sprinkle some water, because I know that moving forward, my next planting, which is brassicas right now, greens right now, I will water that in because I know exactly where I want to plant them, okay? But that's 2-3 months ahead of when I'm going to plant. But when I get ready to plant, the first thing I add is garden tone. And this garden tone, I believe, is a 544. I started to say 444. It's a 544. So it's really just about even of a 10-10-10, 12-12-12. I think there's a triple 15, a triple 20, okay? You hear that crow? But it's going to give me enough nitrogen, because your certain plants need nitrogen to start growing, okay? Kind of like a tomato. And let's go ahead and knock that out, because I am growing tomatoes. I'm going to go heavy with the garden tone. It's higher in nitrogen, but it's still allowing the phosphorus and the potassium, okay? And I'm going to also feed calcium nitrate. That's for my tomatoes. And I will stay with that until I see some blooms on my tomatoes. When I see blooms, I'm going to look for something low in nitrogen, high in phosphorus and potassium. But I'm really concentrating on the bloom. The bloom comes from phosphorus. The potash or potassium is like a central vitamin. This is the health of the plant, because you're pushing those blooms, because once you get a bloom, then it sets fruit, or vegetables, but it's fruit in this case with a tomato. Then your potassium is your multivitamin. It keeps the health of the plant, okay? And I'll just leave it like that. I do add more stuff to my tomatoes, but right now I'm only growing tomatoes. I hope I can eat them, but I'm actually growing them for an experiment, okay? And if I get tomatoes, many of you know the experiment I'm talking about, then, you know, our new friends, you'll understand. Okay, now the tomatoes is off the table. let's concentrate on food that's above the ground. Greens, collard greens, cabbage, that's above the ground. Purple top turnips. Now you're going to think, well, it's a turnip, it's a root. No, actually you treat a purple top turnip because you can eat the greens, so it's above the ground. I know it sounds crazy in comparison to some other root crops we're going to get into, but they don't like all your greens, collards, turnips, mustard greens, cabbages. They're not big on potassium, and they're not big on phosphorus, or in this case, phosphorus and potassium. They lean more towards nitrogen because they're above the dirt. It's going to flourish your food above the dirt. So what I like to do on all the leafy greens, spinaches, collards, turnips, mustard, am I missing one? Cabbage, you're above. So here's our bucket, or in ground, or whatever you're growing in. You have your dirt, your soil. Now, let me say, I do not test my soil because of what I put into my soil. It's last year's chicken poop. It's mushroom compost. I'm going to treat my soil as if it's virgin soil. I'm not testing it. I'm going to start off with garden lime. The reason why I use this, I have bags of it, is because I grow a lot of hydrangea. This is garden lime. It works for me. So I'm going to put the garden lime, and I'm going to put triple 13 in those beds of all above ground food. I don't know, a week before I plant, 2 weeks before I plant, that's what I'm going to amend the buckets with, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to sow my seeds, and then I'm going to feed them. There again, don't look at the brand. 1300. What am I focusing on? Nitrogen. Above ground, I got to focus on nitrogen, and they are on the higher end of nitrogen feeders, your leafy greens. Cabbage is considered a leafy green. Even though it makes a head, it's still a leafy green. I'm going to concentrate on the nitrogen. Here's another one. 12, 10, and 5. If I didn't have this, I have this, I'm going to feed the 12, 10, and 5. And you say, well, this doesn't have any phosphorus or potassium. I'm not looking for that right now. I'm looking for nitrogen. So I can use this. It's not going to hurt anything because I'm pushing the nitrogen. So it doesn't matter what brand you use. Just look for the nitrogen. As the plant starts coming up, then you can concentrate on feeding it some phosphorus and potassium because that's the health of the plant. But the best thing you can put in your soil, in your dirt, once they come up, your leafy greens, is calcium nitrate. That's going to put that nitrogen slap in there. Now, I like pelletized. We buy it by the 40-pound bag. You know, we have to order it. So we have a big barrel of it. I like to do that. So we have covered, well, that's the cat. Y'all, I got scared. So we've covered above ground. Now, this is when we get to the root. Rutabaga. We have radishes growing. We have, what else do we have growing? What did I plant here? Hang on, let me look. We got rutabagas, we got radishes, we got beets, we have carrots. Yeah, that's what we have as far as roots. I had to think about what I'm growing. So that means your food is going to grow underground. Even though you can eat the greens of those root vegetables, you're really growing that root. Beets, radishes, rutabagas, you're growing a root vegetable. They don't like nitrogen. So in the beds, I start again, the triple 13, because what I'm doing is I'm putting equal parts of the NPK into my buckets because they're spent, because they've had to sit there and work through the summer, you see, to grow whatever I grew previously. So the dirt's spent. So I'm going to come in with triple 13. I will top off my buckets because they decrease from our compost pile. I don't put bag dirt, nothing like that. And that's all I'm going to do. When it's time to sow the root vegetables, that's when I'm going to back off the nitrogen. You can do an even number like I do triple 13. You can do something like garden tone. You can do, well, you can even do the 12, 10, and 5 just to get that initial start, okay? But you really need, once you see them shoot up out of the dirt, you really need to back off the nitrogen. We're talking about root vegetables. Then you want to push phosphorus and your vitamin, which is potassium. I like to actually use a 0, 10, 10 once they come up, because remember, I've already got the triple 13 in the dirt, and it's a slow release because it's a granule. I don't do the liquid. If I did the liquid, it would be the 0, 10, 10 fish emulsion, and I would mix it up, or a lot of you have seen, and I'll admit, I'll put a drop of that in my bucket because it's water soluble, it's liquid, as I go to water my plant in, or in this case, water the seeds in. I actually prefer the granules when I'm starting off, just an even number. That's why I say down here in the South, we do a triple 13. So I'm not sure if this is gonna help, but root vegetables is not a fan of nitrogen. Above ground food is a fan of nitrogen. Just be mindful that the nitrogen can burn your plants. So my rule of thumb is I start off a little heavy-handed, and then I a little bit weekly feed, because one of you asked, well, how often? Weekly. So like today I fed. We're gonna walk through, and I'm gonna take the time and show you what I fed each vegetable with. And I actually pulled these 3 bags out and fed on purpose, not the garden tone. I only start with that. So you could identify, oh, okay, she uses blah, blah, blah. But remember, we're not looking at the brand. We're concentrating on the number. So I'm gonna get a sip, and we're gonna walk through. It's looking really good, guys. But I was kind of disappointed, and when we get to that one spot, you're gonna know why. I was real disappointed yesterday when I walked out here. So let's go walk around. And when this is over, I might take a shower with the water hose, because I am filthy, like just filthy. And I still have a wheelbarrow to go empty because I emptied out some of the garden. Now guys, this is the broadleaf mustard greens. And I know the camera's not picking up good, but I did get full germination. Here's a patch right here wanting to stand back up, because like I said, I watered about an hour and a half ago. And I sprinkled this blood meal before I watered. There again, it's leafy greens, concentrating on the nitrogen. We had great success with the Detroit beets, only they're laying over. Like I said, I gotta be very gentle because I watered. This is what I used for my root vegetable. Like I said, don't look at the name. I'm concentrating on the phosphorus. So you can see a little bit of green throughout. Okay, here is our purple top turnips. And if you remember sitting at the table, I said this could be confusing because it is a turnip. So you would think, okay, a root vegetable. But you actually feed as if it was just straight leafy greens. And this is what I fed the purple top turnips. And here is the rutabaga. Now, these things get huge. I had 100% germination because I spaced them about 8 inches apart. And in my circle, even to the center, root vegetable, I'm pushing the phosphorus. First, let's go to this bed. This was the M.I. Gardner collards. Remember, I did 2 and I plucked the weak link. I did 2 in a row. Here's the other one. So 100% germination. The same collard, only Hall's tool, no germination. So I sowed M.I. Gardner collards in here. So I'll have to change my tag. This is the Champion collard from Hall's tool. 1 germination. That's it, just 1. So I went ahead and I sowed again the same brand Hall's Champion collard. In about a week, if I don't see anything, I'm gonna put the M.I. Gardner seeds in here. Okay, here is M.I. Gardner, and this is the Georgia collards. 1 germination, so, or should I say 1 germinated. I sowed here and I sowed here. But like I said, it's dry and I am watering. This is just a glimpse of the row that we just went down. You can even see the mint, how it's laid over from watering. Because I'm growing tomatoes, let's walk through here because we did sow some seeds last week, but the tomatoes are doing fantastic. They're all loaded in blooms, guys. And with the heat we have, Lippy might get her a tomato. This is cherry bell radishes. And they are laid over. Look at this poor little thing right here. But they will, hello Lou, they will stand up. Here's another one. Here's one. But 100% germination. Now these cherry bells look a whole lot better. They're still laying over. But like I said, unless they're stuck under something like right here, because I just water them with a mister, see how they'll come right up. But if you happen to notice, because they're so tender and young, if you see some that looks like they're kind of stuck, just kind of move them lightly. Like that. That way you know they're not stuck in dirt. Because you don't want to crowd them or they're not going to make a real pretty reddish. When I was digging, I found 2 packs of carrot seeds. These are the Denver half-longs. The package is about 8 years old. But what do we have to lose? Now this is just grass, because I just did these this morning. So I went ahead and planted a whole pack of the American Seed Denver half-longs. These are the Scarlet Nates, just like the Patriot seeds that did so well in the big carrot bed. Remember the purple mom? Guys, look. It won't be long, and this whole thing will have beautiful purple flowers. Remember when I cut back on the yellow mom and chopped it down to about 4 inches above the dirt? And I told you it would bless us again for the fall. Look at all the buds. And it's gonna bloom again. So let's go back down, see what else we got going. I pulled the squash, it's done. The only thing I'm growing here is this tomato. These are determinants. And this tomato. And then that is oregano. I'm fixing to harvest the oregano. It's laid over from watering, but I'm gonna harvest it and dry it because I feed it to my chickens. Now this poor indeterminate tomato, it has just grown outside its cage. It's all squirrely looking, but if you see white powder, that is Captain Jack's, because I had a varmint eating on the leaves. And this is a good example of what I was talking about. Something is eating on these leaves. So I put Captain Jacks this morning. We're missing 2 zucchini and 2 more squash. I did pull them. I only kept this zucchini because it has 3 of them in there growing. Once they go ahead and produce and I harvest, I'm gonna pull the zucchini. This is a hillbilly blooms. Come on, fruit. The heatless habaneros, and they're still going and going and going. I'm actually feeding some to my chickens. Look at that. But as far as you can see, red and green. I know the sun probably just blinded y'all. So I'm letting these 2 plants do their thing. I did put Captain Jacks on this little patio tomato to kind of help with the white flies. Lots of blooms. Like I said, this thing can produce. It's just a problem when it comes to the white flies. But look, guys, you see them fly out when I do that? So even Captain Jack's isn't fixing it. And I opted not to pull it, but I just don't know. I know I won't grow it again. Look up in here. So I don't know why these flies are attacking it like it does. The cucumbers have started making another round. We had lost a lot of blooms in that windstorm a couple of weeks ago, but they're loaded in flowers again. All of them have cucumbers. Here's one. There's one. And I harvested 2 large ones and took to the grandkids. Green beans said no this fall. Last fall they did amazing, but the heat just basically took them out. But I did harvest plenty today when I pulled the plants, and I'm gonna cook them tomorrow with some potatoes. And this one, there's no hope. I'm just gonna let it do its thing. It's loaded in blooms, but guys, this thing is squirrely. It has, oh my gosh, and I didn't even, look. I didn't even see that this morning. Okay, hey, I'm gonna pause, say a little prayer. Now, I am gonna taste this one if it produces at least 1 slice, because that may be the only tomato we get for this this experiment I'm doing. It's wet. This was the Hoss Tool Carrata. Carratas do well for us. They did fantastic last year. But y'all see some bare spots? So you know what Lippy did? Lippy put some American seed carrots in these bare spots. I'm not gonna cover them. We're just gonna see what happens. And remember, I took my time and did it by rows, so you can actually see the rows. Now that's laid over because I watered. But guys, the Patriot seeds outshined Hoss Tool. And that kind of hurt my feelings, because for whatever reason, I'm struggling now. I mean, I'm still a fan of Hoss Tool seeds, but I've been struggling this year with their seeds. I just have to be honest. I've never grown the Patriot seeds. These were gifted in a beautiful tin can with a host of vegetables. And I took and put the whole little packet. And these are the scarlets as well. And I want y'all to look at this. That's got to come out. Now, by in the morning, they will just be standing up. I don't have much thinning to do. I will thin, but not like normal. I literally took my time. And this is where we're going to put all our cabbages and broccoli and cauliflower. down in these beds. We've only amended 3. We still have 3 more to amend. And what you're seeing is perlite and heavy-handed triple 13 that we did 2 weeks ago. So by the time I put them in the dirt in the next 10 days, and I'm watering every so often, these beds will be amended and ready to go because it's all above ground. The broccoli, the cauliflower, and the cabbage. They require higher nitrogen, less on the P and the K. I need a fresh cup of coffee. Yeah, I don't drink flies. And my little paper, it flew off with this 2-mile-per-hour wind. I would have loved to have had this wind today. But no, it's going to wait till Lippy's going in to get cleaned up. But it does feel good. I don't even know what time it is. Y'all, it's like 4 o'clock. Yeah, no wonder I'm tired. That's like, what, 7.5 hours? But I feel very accomplished today. Chickens are done. Garden's done. House is done. Supper's done because I did save out some of that food that we cooked together. When did we cook that? Monday. Yes, Monday. So Mr. Buddy's got supper and I've got supper. So that's covered. So guys, I hope that I helped you ladies out. I'm not really sure what else y'all were asking, but I hope I did justice to your questions. And you know, if you have any more questions, email me and I'll see if I can be even more specific. But my gardening style is probably different from a lot. I'm old school, you know. A lot of people do all organic. I'm kind of a 60-40, if you will, maybe 70-30. But I try to lean more towards the organic, but triple 13, hands down, is our #1 food at the onset. So I know that the main question was which vegetable needs this. And learn to read your plants. Your plants will talk to you. There's some great books out there. I'm sure there's even more channels that can go more in depth than me. I'm just a simple gardener, and what I do, I've been doing for years, and it works. And you know, there's an old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So, you know, I'm not one to try new things. I just buy things when it's like 10 cents on a dollar. Literally, guys. And a lot of our old friends know. We got a truckload 2.5 years ago of enough fertilizer to last, oh my gosh, 6-7 years of gardening. And so that's why you see the different brands, okay? But I really just feed by the number. I'm not set on a particular brand. I don't spend a lot of money. Even the triple 13 is cheap. I think the calcium nitrate's $30 for, is it 40 pounds or 50 pounds? And that's cheap. And that lasts a long time. So really and truly, the most expense is that straw. And I will probably forever use that particular straw that I use until I can find something equivalent as far as quality, cheaper. So that would be the expense that I really put in my garden, is the straw. And I highly believe in it because the straw, I didn't have it this year and only used a little of it in the center of things, and my plants are showing. So if nothing else, it was good that I didn't have the straw, because it confirmed to me the splashback and the fungus that can come up just from watering, from rain, and it's splashing up and it's causing a fungus and disease to your plants, which you don't want. But that's just me. So yeah, I mean, gardening can be hard if you make it hard, but gardening can be very rewarding, and it doesn't take a lot of money. On the onset, if you have to have dirt come in, which we did 3.5 years ago, but now that we just use, last year's chicken poo and compost and we roll it, we don't buy dirt. That was just a on-set expense. But let gardening be fun. Don't overthink it. Don't overwork it. Yeah, I guess that's the only advice I can give our new gardeners that's watching. Just don't stress. Not every year is going to be successful. Not every year. What you think is going to be successful may peter out. There's just no guarantee. But as long as you are a good steward to that garden, to your garden, or to that plant, and you learn to read it, it will tell you what it needs. Other than that, I just say, just learn to love gardening and don't let it intimidate you. It's life, a seed's life. You're going to nourish it, and if Mother Nature has a different plan, that's out of your control too. I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't overstress. Don't overthink. Get you some coffee, tea, whatever your drink of choice is, and sit back and, if you see fruits of your labor growing, pat yourself on the back. But you don't have to go in debt to grow a garden. These buckets were $5 a piece. You can grow in a 5-gallon bucket. For 7 years, all I grew was in 5-gallon buckets. That's how I grew my garden. And I loved it, and they did just fine. So we've just moved up to larger buckets. But 5-gallon buckets, if that's all you got and you want a bucket garden, it will grow your plants. Trust me. So anyhow, friends, I'm going in. I got to go dump this and get cleaned up. But as always, stay safe, stay well, and God bless. And I will see you on the next one. I just don't know when that'll be.